Welcome to Syntax. Today we have an episode for you on what does the job market look like for software developers, for JavaScript developers, for people building for the web. We have a guest coming back on, Taylor Desseyn, who came on probably about just over a year ago, probably 14 months ago by the time you're watching this.
Has it been that long now at this point?
Yeah.
It feels
crazy.
like yesterday. That is terrifying.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
And like back then we asked you like why are recruiters so awful and like what's going on here?
Yeah.
And we thought like let's get him back on just to talk about what does the job market look like right now and
Sure.
like what's working right now, especially because like all the AI stuff in the past year has really blown up. So
Yeah.
Welcome, Taylor. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Again, thank you for having me. It means so much. Again, I always say this as a recruiter, I just feel, I'm like, man, just blessed to be here, right? Hanging out with you guys, and especially because I know most of us are
blessed.
terrible. I know. Yeah. Grateful, very grateful.
You're lucky.
Best believe it.
It's actually funny though, because the attitude towards recruiters in like the heyday of boot camp grads making 300 grand out the gate, as I feel like it's changed because the job market has sort of turned in the last little bit and maybe has turned back. We don't know, but that's what we have you here to talk about.
Oh, good. I'm glad it's not like the latest Vercel framework or something like that, or whatever
No.
latest JavaScript. No, I'm just kidding.
Give us your thoughts on server components.
Yeah,
But
I am
give us
them.
give us an intro of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Taylor Desseyn. I've been in the talent engineering space now for 13 years. I have been recruiting engineers since .NET Web Forms was hot, boys. So like literally, like I remember recruiting, and they were like, we need .NET Web Forms." I was like, "What's a web form?" And then like I remember when .NET MVC came out, and like that was all the rage. I remember when React came out, and everybody was paying a top dollar for people just to spell React. So
Yeah.
I've been doing this thing for 14 years now, and actually, I think you boys will hear it first. I got a new job.
Wow.
I got a new job. I am VP of Global Development, or Global Community rather, for Torque, which is a talent marketplace. We were bought by the world's largest staffing company, Randstad. And basically, it's a really cool story. Randstad's CEO, like the big CEO, they're a $30 billion company. And the Randstad CEO was like, listen, like we don't have, this is what I was told by my team, like we don't have a really good reputation with engineers. We don't really do a lot of engineering recruiting. So like we're going to buy Torque to basically like, because we like their model of community first. And so they were bought by Randstad in May, and then I was on the job search looking. Hit up Dave Messinger, who's my boss, on Twitter. He goes, "Well, believe it or not, this may work out." And it's been a long process. About 3 months later, I got the offer and starting officially on Monday. So my role is hiring, just a bit, not even hiring. All my job is to like make friends with developers across the world. So we're really trying to grow Latin America, a lot of the ERP space. So it's gonna be a little outside my realm of expertise, but we're trying to grow India, and then kind of one of our initiatives is growing AI in the US. So it's gonna be really cool. Just again, breaking bread with developers, meeting them where they're at, and really just growing community at scale.
Nice.
That's
so
awesome.
if you're meeting with developers and growing
Yeah.
community with developers as a recruiter, that must mean that recruiters are still looking for developers.
Yeah.
When you see on Twitter or, it seems like a lot of people are really feeling the crunch of the job market. But as somebody who hasn't been applying for a job lately, I don't know what the status is. So is it as bad as people make it seem? Is there a big crunch in developer hiring right now?
I mean, it's bad. I mean, it sucks, right? I always caveat says it sucks because it sucks compared to what it was in 2021, 2022, right? Or 2020, 2021, whatever. But like, it was good and then it wasn't. Let's just say that. And so now the thing is like companies are still hiring, right? I mean, like I know developers that have found jobs before they even get laid off. But again, that is the 1% now. And I mean, I was talking with a really good engineer yesterday that worked at Fanatics, and he's been without a job for like 6 months now.
Because of the pants?
Yeah.
Dude, they got the NHL jerseys now too, Wes.
I know. The
Scott,
energy
can you give
jerseys
us
look
some-
so much
some
better.
context on that joke?
Fanatics is a company that they produce.
It took me a second. Now I understand what you're talking about. Yeah, I saw that.
Lower quality jerseys, I think. It's kind of like for the masses, but they've just been buying up and they've been getting a lot of contracts for like MLB. You buy T-shirts and MLB. Yeah, well, they got the MLB jerseys, and I think they like ripped right away. They were like see-through.
They were see-through. I remember saying, I was like, good Lord have mercy.
Yeah, and so definitely not a great start, but also just they already had a reputation. In fact, man, Wes, there's a really good Twitter account. I'll find it and link it in the show. That is simply just people posting Fanatics fails, where like I don't know how their factories work, but like they were shipping people a New York Islanders t-shirt that says New York Rangers on it, but has the Islanders logo. I mean, it's like
good.
It's that bad. I don't know how they get it wrong like that bad.
Yeah. No, so I mean, basically, so no, the developer was not let go because of the pants. Just to clarify, but like a really good engineer was referred to me by another staff engineer who I knew in the area in Nashville, and like the dude's great. Like talking to him yesterday, and he was like, and he was. I mean, I hate it, but he was like on the verge of tears. He was like, what am I doing? What's going on? And literally I told him, I was like, the thing you need to be doing is you need to be messaging the job poster. Like when there's a job post on LinkedIn, message the job poster and basically like follow up with them, introduce yourself. And he goes, that's so funny you said that. He said, I tried to start doing that. And that's been the last 2 interviews I've gotten because of that. And so I just think now like mass applying just doesn't work. I mean, I saw some post today on Twitter or yesterday, all the days run together at this point, but it was like, it was like a DevRel role, and it was like 1,000 people submitted their information.
Wow.
Like that makes sense if like the follow-up would work. Yeah. If like, so that's a good tidbit to start out with is that like, if you have 1,000 people applying for something, how do you stand out? Yeah. So follow up, that's a good one. And you said on Twitter or wherever, is there ideal places and not ideal places? Like don't show up at the coffee shop and stalk them or what?
Yeah, I would highly recommend not doing that or sending. I heard people they find them on Facebook and then make comments about their family, like trying to build rapport. Yeah. Don't do that either.
Don't do that.
I mean, I'm serious. I heard that like, oh my gosh, I just love your kids. Bro, back off. Like relax.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Don't do that.
Fake enthusiasm or fake interest. Yeah. Like we get it a lot with people trying to come on the podcast is, I absolutely
it worked with me.
Get
out of town.
There's no chance you listen. You work for a PR company. You're not listening to a podcast about web developers. Don't tell me you like the podcast.
I know. Yeah, it just is. So for me, and I've heard this consistently from managers, and so obviously I do a lot with Kelly Vaughn. Kelly Vaughn and I have that Discord, the friend zone, where we're just kind of like putting people in our communities together to talk about the job search, because the job search can be very lonely, which is why my keynote is like, you're not alone. Not the Seosin song, for the record, but
love Seosin.
But basically send the email on LinkedIn or the DM on LinkedIn or the DM on Twitter, and it's very simply, let's just say Susan. I was listening to a comedian talking about Susan Boyle yesterday. So let's say the manager is Susan Boyle. I'd be like, hey, Susan, I'm sorry you posted this engineer. I went ahead and submitted my resume. Just want to let you know, I feel like I'm a really good fit. You guys are looking for ABC. I have ABC specifically. I've done this, and this. Would love to chat if you're interested in more. That's it. Because what I've realized is like, I'm pretty sure when I talk to y'all too, and maybe not, but I was saying, go message managers and ask them for like 15 minutes of their time or 10 minutes of their time. Nobody has conversations anymore. Everybody is so exhausted, so nervous. They think they're going to get fired. All middle management has been cut the last year and a half. So there's no like engineering managers. So like all the engineering manager plus levels are taking on all those responsibilities. Then they're trying to sift through 1,000 resumes. It's just a complete disaster. And so no one's got time to talk. So you have to be really, really good at creating really direct and meaningful messages in the DMs to elicit a response. And I think like one of the things I wish I went to school for was writing, because if you can like copy, with marketing and learning how to craft a message that is really engaging and get people to respond to you, to me is a superpower right now. Like it is an absolute superpower.
Yeah, I agree as well. Like being able to convey your thoughts or convey, like I sell courses, being able to convey why something is good is a massive superpower. Being able to distill it down into something that is very readable and very consumable, especially because Like I feel like with a lot of these ChatGPT and everything like that, you just feel like I'm so skeptical of everything. And then anytime someone sends me something, I immediately have my, this feels like AI coming at me. So if you're able to even do the opposite and make it better.
I mean, honestly, like this is a hot take here. And I've like said this to a few people I've asked this to a few people like in the engineering space that I respect, but also like in the social media space I respect. And I was like, I feel like actually mistakes and spelling errors and grammatical issues are actually endear you more right now in the age of AI than the opposite. Because literally I mean, Kelly Vaughn and I talk all the time, like we see these resumes and you can tell AI wrote them. It's fluff. It's so many words, like, and it's not conversational speak. And I think as an industry, especially in the software space, but I would say as a whole, maybe not like finance and like that side of things, but I would say there's a push towards conversational speak more than ever, not proper grammatical speech. And AI is spitting out proper grammatical speech. And so I see resumes, Kelly sees, I talk to so many engineering leaders that see these AI produced resumes trashed immediately. Like immediately goes into the, I'm not going to talk to you. So
yeah, AI based resumes, sus for real, right?
Yeah, it's awful.
I'm curious about like who is getting hired in terms of like seniority. Are senior developer jobs at less of a risk, more of a risk? Junior developer jobs, like what does that distribution in your viewpoint look like right now?
I feel like everybody's at risk. Like to me, to sit here in this podcast, and be like, the seniors are fine. Like no, like nobody's fine. I mean, it's kind of like a terrible game of Survivor right now. For me, I would say the people that are really, really obviously in trouble right now are the people that are not closest to the dollar when it comes to, there's a dog in this WeWork right now. So if you hear a dog, you know what's going on. He's actually a fellow recruiter as well that has this dog. That I know him, but that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is who's in trouble. The people that are in trouble is if you're not closest to the dollar when it comes to revenue. If you are working on non-generating like apps or things that don't make the business money, I would highly buy some awareness pretty quickly and start asking questions from your manager of, hey, what am I working on? What does this look like, in terms of business roadmap, 6 months, 12 months down the road? How is this going to generate the business money? Because in full transparency, that's one of the reasons why like it didn't work out for me at Gun is what I was doing at the time. I was too far away from revenue for what they needed at the moment. And that was nothing on them. That was nothing on me. It just is the way I kind of fit in an organization, which can be a whole nother podcast about community and how it works with revenue, which is again, like a whole nother conversation. But for me, I just wasn't close to the revenue and they needed revenue now. And so it was just time for me to move on. And so I think same thing with engineers. If you're working on some sort of app that's for like 6 users in back office HR to, take away some automated Excel process, like I don't think you're going to last that long.
Oh man, internal tooling is sometimes really important, but sometimes
and I agree.
It's what unfortunately gets axed.
That and DevRel.
As close, yeah. DevRel is. You're seeing that as well, DevRel.
Yeah. I mean, I think especially so. I'm on a DevRel advisory board right now. Definitely with this new role, talking with a lot of DevRel folks and how they're structuring their teams and what they're doing, because this is kind of a new foray for me. The biggest thing that I continue to hear is that nobody knows how to track revenue with DevRel teams. And I would say one of the best things my last company did was actually tie me on the website from a marketing attribution perspective. So you can like see kind of like what I've been able to bring into the business. I just think no one knows how to put metrics around the DevRel team. And that's something that I'm actively literally in conversations at right now, just a month or two into my new job. As this new, global community manager, where it's like, how do we show our value to like 6 skip levels up from where I'm at right now, right? And I think that's a conversation that we haven't figured out yet, but I'm going to start documenting next week about building this platform and building this community and kind of the metrics we're looking at, because that seems to be one of the biggest issues with DevRel right now.
And what about like actual tech that people are hiring for right now? What are you seeing as
data?
The tech data, really?
Disguise or back end data disguised as AI. Everyone's like, we need AI developers. And it's like, well, no, sis, no, Sally. You just need a Python engineer who That was kind of the thing I've been seeing. I think a lot of people want AI folks, but what they most companies can't pay what AI folks, like true AI folks demand right now. So they're like, all right, we'll settle for a staff engineer or senior engineer. And then, again, I said this, Python, Java, high processing data, Kafka, MQ type stuff. Again, I don't know what these are. These are just things I read in job descriptions all the time, right? I'm not going to try to act like I know what I'm talking about, but like, I know kind of inherently what they are, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. Again, one of the reasons why, in my opinion, this Fanatics engineer who came to me yesterday is having issues is because he's a front-end developer. And the problem is boot camps, and everybody switched to all front-end during the money grab of 2017, 16, 17, 17, 18, 16, 15, anyways. And basically everybody coded front end, and then everybody was left with no one doing back end, right? And so I think if you want to stay very employable time and time again, learn Python, learn Java, learn some sort of back end technology, and go double down in that. And I think that's the future, I think, for the next 5 to 7 year run.
Wow, that's crazy to hear, because for the longest time it was learn React.
Dude,
learn
I'm telling you,
front-end.
somebody could have like a month of React, and I could place them on a project for like 50% raise. It was nuts.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I should do this. It got to a point where I was like, maybe I should do this.
Oh yeah, for sure. In 2015, we were hiring. I mean, this is pre-React. It's just to show you that the front end thing, it was going on for so long. We were hiring Angular devs at Ford.
That was hot too.
We could not find a single developer in the state of Michigan who fit our requirements who was available. It was like such an insane crunch for people who are just getting into the job market recently. You don't understand that, like, the reason why boot camps became such a popular thing was because there was such a huge disparity between the available work and the amount of developers that had that skill. So in your opinion, Taylor, is there less work, or did the positions all just get filled?
The positions all got filled, and there's less work.
Gotcha.
I think it's like a terrible storm, man. I mean, I think it's a perfect terrible storm right now, and I think that's where I think you got to network your butt off. And if you want to go into what networking means, I can get pretty granular with that. I think a lot of budgets were cut, a lot of projects were shelved, and when it comes to the positions being filled, like, again, you have to understand something. What we saw in 2021, 2022, we will never see again.
Mm-hmm.
We will never see that again. I had a podcast, my podcast, Guidance Counselor 2.0. I went live with Dan Thompson, who's still at Vaco, the company I started at and was at for 11 years. He and I talked about the future and what we think it looked like. And we're not going to like wake up one day and it's going to be like, oh my gosh, we're in it again. Things are firing. I think it'll be a year in the rears and we'll be like, oh, we're out of it now, finally, right? Like, I don't think we're going to have that acceleration anymore. And so for me, the problem is that acceleration was so rapid. And we called it on the podcast, on the Unicorn Finders podcast that I was on with 3 guys. And we said, this is unsustainable. Something bad's going to happen. And basically it happened. And so there is so much, I mean, I don't know about you. I know a lot of people that were in tech that were very vocal on Twitter that are no longer in tech anymore. Because they're just like, they want to get out of tech now because it was a money grab. Like, everybody, the old heads I talked to, right, all the unks out there are saying like, this was basically like a mainframe grab of 2000. Like, basically how to code mainframe in 90 days, you're going to go out and get $1. And that's exactly what it was in 2001 to 2022. And I think we're going back to, when I say even, back to a normal market.
Yeah, a lot of smart people follow the money. Like, there's the amount of people that move from finance and marketing into coding. Like, I worked at a boot camp for, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And they since have shut down because they simply cannot get these people hired anymore because there's just not enough jobs. It's not what it used to be. But we had a lot of people coming in, a lot of really smart people that were coming from marketing, from management, or from finance. And they say, like, they clearly understand this stuff and they are going to be good at whatever it is that they do. And they think, all right, well, I'll just learn to code because that is a great spot to make a lot of money right now.
And again, I would also say, because people watch this like, oh my gosh, this sounds terrible. It's not awful. I want to let you know, like, it's bad, but it's like, you have to apply yourself. And I think the problem is like prime example. I think we all follow him on Twitter. Want to give his flowers. Random Recruiter on Twitter. He's great. He has a ton of experience. I like the way he does things. And he literally posted, he goes, please put your name and contact information on your resume. Thanks. So you know what that means is that he has had a ton of resumes with no contact information on the resume right now. Like, folks, like that's what I'm saying. It's hard. I'm not going to diminish that, but you just have to do the small stuff a little better right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, attention to detail, or even just like doing it like, I don't know, maybe this is just stuff that, I picked up a long time ago, but it always feels to me like when I'm looking at resumes or anything like that, like those little things just are kind of shocking that people leave those out, whether they aren't trying or they're using tools to do it for them that aren't good or what. But it is shocking when the easy stuff gets missed.
Well, and I've tweeted this multiple times before, is that the people who are getting the jobs right now are not better than you. They're doing the small things better than you.
What other kinds of things are they doing better?
First off, energy. Yeah. Listen, it's all vibes. And listen, I've posted that before and people get so mad at me. They're like, what do you mean the job search? I'm not, listen, I get it, right? I'll talk all day about tactical, practical stuff. But listen, like anybody who's listening to this, or going to listen to this, you guys, like if you have hired, you want to work with people who you vibe with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we did that at Syntax when we got like 1 million people apply for a producer role and for a creator role. And it's amazing how it was so easy to filter through all of it because the people who were clear had really good finesse, in all of the stuff. Their website had lots of like nice little details. Their resume was really well done. And there wasn't like a lot of, it was just finessed. It wasn't very well polished. Some of it was. Some people are. But
I would say I am not well polished.
No, I'm not a well polished guy either. I always tell people, I had a call with somebody that I'm like, make it crappier. I always have tweets with spelling mistakes in them and things like that. I am not a polished guy at all, but I feel like I have a little bit of finesse. I feel like I have that like really good energy, and that's the type of person that we want to be able to work with as well.
And people push back on this, and I definitely want to be sensitive to folks who, listen, may not have the best personalities, right? And we all know those folks. We know all those engineers who are brilliant who just don't have the personalities, and so I understand that. But you still need to emote. Like you need to, like at this point, y'all, we are 4 years into working virtually at this point. Now, Amazon and Dell are trying to change that actively right now, but like we are 4 years into this thing. If you do not know how, it is, and boys, I'm sure you know this, as a podcast and trying to host a podcast virtually, you have to emote. There is another level that you have to, like I am emoting right now, right? Like you have to, and it's like, if you have not figured that out at this point and you wonder why you can't get the job, come on, let's put 2 and 2 together. And again, I'm not telling you to be fake. I'm just telling you to give a little bit more, because at the end of the day, if you are not engaged, if you're not asking questions, if you are not smiling, if you are not taking notes, if you are not, having a really, good, a well-written resume, if you are not doing those things and following up and sending nice emails, you won't get it right now.
Yeah, that tracks so much. Even from my side of the aisle, it's always been like an energy thing where just simply being excited, giving a about what you're applying for. Because in the past, there was definitely like a swing to where people were very cynical about work in general, where it's, if they want me to do this, they better follow everything that I lay out for them, and then maybe I'll grace them with my coding ability. But like, it's so much more. You have to be excited. You have to be energetic. You have to enjoy what you do, because people don't want to work with somebody who isn't excited about what they're working on and what they're doing. It tracks for me so much, and I think that's something that has always aided me in my interviewing. Is I think I'm naturally able to be excited about things that I really enjoy, and it's always gotten a good response. So I definitely feel that very much. Here's a question. Okay, here's a scenario. How about that?
Oh boy, I like scenarios. I feel like you're interviewing me now, Scott. Here we go.
Yeah. Here's a scenario.
A little leak code exercise. I don't know what even that is, but I'm just gonna say that name.
I'm a developer. I've been working for 10 years, various jobs. I've had a job for a couple of years. It's really nice and solid. I get laid off. what is your game plan for them? Like, what is all right, I just got laid off, go. What do I do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad this is a great question. So first off, I would hit up every single, Scott, I got to ask, is that iced coffee or is that just water?
It's water with one of those little
element
hydration multipliers.
Okay, good. I have one of those too.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you're drinking like iced coffee at like 3 p.m.
No, I finished that. It's concentrate typically what I'm. Yeah.
Giddy up. Talking about emoting. So first off, hit up the people who you interviewed with last time you were on the job search. I got this job at Torque because I was barreling towards 2 offers before I even left my last position. And because I'm just going to say it was Gabe Greenberg and G2I.
So he's the guy that runs React Miami.
Yeah, exactly. Gabe's great. Gabe, once you listen to this, hello.
Along with Michelle.
Yeah, and Michelle, along with Michelle. Michelle's wonderful. So, but that didn't work out just for various like reasons in the market. And so I interviewed. So when I was interviewing, but after I left Vaco, I got an offer from Gun. I got an offer from G2I, and then Torque was in there, but Torque just couldn't move fast enough. So then what did I do a year later when I left? Okay, I'm going to hit up Gabe. I'm going to hit up Dave at Torque. And then I hit up kind of some random people that were on the peripherals there at the job search at the very end. And literally, like, I was about to get another offer from Gabe. It didn't quite work out this time. And then this happened with Torque and Dave. And so, like, it's one of these things where hit up the people who you interviewed with and that you bonded with immediately. Also, the conversation, this was really kind of an unlock to me that I couldn't document my job search this time, right? Because I still had a job. Because our boy, why am I forgetting his name also? I love him to death. He's at Storyblock now. I think Storyblock. Oh, Chantastic. So Chan.
Oh yeah.
So Chan, like, documented his job search, and I was like, if I'm on the job search again, I'm gonna go real hard again, and I couldn't because I still had a job. But like one of the things that I got a lot of not pushback, but just like questions, and I'm glad we're talking about this, is people are like, oh, we don't have a role for you right now. And I was like, no, that's fine. Let's just still talk. And what I realized is that they were basing that off previous data they had in their brain, not what I was currently doing. And so, because then I'd have these conversations and be like, wait, you know what? You'd actually be probably a pretty good fit for this or that, or maybe you can help us consult on this or that. So every conversation, you need to take every conversation. And even if they say we don't have a fit for you right now, it doesn't matter. Take the conversation.
Yeah. You know what? That also makes the idea of every time you're interviewing or meeting people or whatever, trying to leave a good impression, that much more serious, because if you're following up and you're reconnecting and you're trying to, do all that stuff, then if people think of you favorably, they're gonna try to help you, even if they can't help you.
Absolutely.
And if you want to see all of the errors in your application, you'll want to check out Sentry at sentry.io/syntax. You don't want a production application out there that, well, you have no visibility into in case something is blowing up and you might not even know it. So head on over to sentry.io/syntax. Again, we've been using this tool for a long time and it totally rules. All right.
I'm curious how you make yourself appear that way to people, because like often I find myself going to like a Starbucks or something like that, and the person working behind the counter is just so personable, so dialed, like, and I think I often tell my wife, I'm like, man, if I had a job for that person, I would snipe them.
Yes.
They seem great. They seem awesome, and I bet that they would do a really good job working somewhere. Not that Starbucks is not a good job, but I feel like they could have like a really good career doing that type of thing.
Yeah.
So like, but what is that you just notice it?
It's funny. I listened to a comedian a while back, and he said, so we don't have any world wars in our generation, right? I mean, I'm sure we have conversations about that, but regardless, we have not gone through World War I, World War II, right? Cold War and that stuff. So the comedian was like, our World War I or World War II is working in the restaurant industry, the retail industry, or the hotel industry. There's basically like where we served, or like our branches of military, essentially.
Man.
So my branches of military, quote unquote, was the restaurant industry and the retail, because I worked at Banana Republic for a bit. You are taught something different that you are not taught in a desk job. And like, I look for, like, when I hire people, I look for people who like did like when I was hiring my recruiting teams, I wouldn't hire anybody who actually had recruiting experience. You can teach recruiting experience.
Yeah.
You can't teach that competitive drive. So I always look for people who played competitive sports in high school and college, or like that worked in some sort of hotel, restaurant, tourism space. I specifically would look for people who like serve tables at like really popular restaurants that I knew would be really, really busy because they can handle stress better. And those are the type of people I look for. You can teach anybody anything if they have enough drive.
Man, yeah, you think your email is stressful? Try Chili's on a Thursday afternoon.
Bro, I've always said, it's so funny. So I serve tables. My dad owned Outback Steakhouse in my hometown for 25 years. And I said, man. I have not worked in a job anywhere near stressful to this date than having 3 tables that all sat at the same time on a Friday night that wanted their bloomin' onion all at the same time.
I get that. I used to work at, Target. I worked at a restaurant as well. So I've done both. And yeah, it can be really difficult with people like that intensely. So yeah, totally feel that.
So back to your question, Scott, because I want to make sure we hit the high points. So again, follow up with the people who you interviewed with last time. Have any and all calls. Another thing that really worked for me is asking for the warm referral, right? So I post about this a lot. This is a trick I learned when I was in the recruiting industry, because ideally, like if I talk with Scott and I vibe, and I'd be like, Scott, dude, it was great talking with you. Do you know any other Angular engineers that I should talk to? It'd be like, yeah. Actually, I podcast with a guy named Wes. You should talk to him. And then boom, I'm talking to Wes, right? Get off. Oh, Wes, great. It was great hanging, dude. Who else should I talk to that is kind of in your background? Oh, I'll get you to talk to so-and-so, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm talking to like everybody's friends, and it's all warm intros. And so, that to me is one thing I really started to do on my job search. Like, hey, it was great talking. Who else do you think I should talk to? And then it was like this conversation and this conversation, and this conversation. So that, and again, it all snowballs on itself. And which is really the best imagery for people is like, if you start a snowball, it gets really small, and then you keep rolling it, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's really the job search. And then finally is keeping track of your leads. Like literally, I would have an Apple Note, and I would basically categorize it as hot, medium, meh, and just like on the radar. Basically, I had like 4 categories, and I would every day like wake up and like move things and like type things. People can use Trello. I know there's a bunch of fancy tools. I just use Apple Notes. And so that was another big thing for me. Follow up, keep track with where things are, because again, time flies when you're having fun. I haven't spoke with you boys in 14 months. It literally feels like maybe 6 months.
Yeah.
Like the time is a very weird thing. And I've talked with this, a whole nother conversation in of itself, is like just time after COVID is like very fluid. And so like, trust me, you think a week's gone by, a month could have gone by, and you could have missed out on that opportunity because you didn't follow up.
Yeah. You had mentioned, you used the word warm intros there, which I think is important to touch on. And I think that's a good opportunity to like move into the conversation around networking, right?
Yeah.
So like networking probably begets a warm intro, right? So how do you network?
So I am the biggest scaredy cat, which is hilarious. Like I've somehow found this job and this career where I like post my entire life online. I've taken off for the last month because I haven't wanted to be able to tell about the job, and I've been wanting to kind of keep secret and honestly just give myself a break. But like I've kind of put myself out there for so long. But like if you get me like one-on-one and if you're not in the tech industry, I am the most awkward person. I'll never forget. So I moved up to do music with my buddy Jake Etheridge. His wife did like a single with Dustin Lynch. I don't really know who Dustin Lynch is. All I know, he's got like a lot of teeth. Like he got one of those big smile type guys, let's just say that. And we were at some sort of party with them and a bunch of country artists. And I was just like, I don't know what to talk about. Like all these famous people. And I was like hanging out with my buddy. I was like, man, like what you been doing? Just kind of, shooting the shit. And I was like, I got to get out of here. And then there was this guy standing at the corner of the room. I was like, I'm going to go talk to him. The dude was a tech founder. And so of course I hit it off with him. So, I mean, for me, like I'm not the best at it. I struggle at it. I think if I've been to your conference that you've organized or me through the kind of conference circuit, like the joke is I'm in bed every night by 8 p.m. Like I just don't have the motor to go out. I'm just not the best at it. So what I do is I really take advantage of Twitter and LinkedIn. I have realized like that is who I am, savage at it. And I have made a career off just messaging people, liking their comments, retweeting their stuff, giving thoughtful comments. I'm on LinkedIn, messaging people, connecting with people, liking their stuff. Like, because to me, like that's kind of like async networking, which is nice, right? Like,
Yeah.
like I don't know about you, I don't answer any phone calls that come to me because I'm like, my name's Taylor, right? I'm like, just leave a voicemail and I'll call you when I'm ready. And I feel
Yeah.
like society is like that in general. It's not just me or most millennials. And so and so for me, it's one of these things where that's where I really take advantage of. And then content. And so basically what I've realized is that if I put out enough content and I connect with enough people online, then the in-person is a little easier, right? Because then you go to conferences. I mean, you boys know, you've been doing it. You go to a conference and people know who you are.
Totally,
Which is
yeah.
really nice because then they bring in their friends. They're like, Scott, I want you to meet my other friend, Keith. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I've never met Keith before. And then you leave the conference with like 25 new contacts because your friends who know you through content was able to introduce you.
Yeah, and I want to back up too what you said about just, even if you are a scaredy cat, I want to shout out my homie Trey Willetto, who he just hit me up on Instagram and was like, hey, you want to go skiing sometime? I'm
I wanna
in
go skiing with
Colorado.
you,
I'm a
Scott. That sounds
developer.
great.
I'm like, that sounds like a lot of fun. We have not gone skiing, but we went out to coffee, and now I see him at meetups, and I'm like, Trey, what's up, my man?
I love that.
Yeah.
I
And
love
like
that.
a year ago, I didn't know who this guy was, and now now every time I see him, I'm stoked to see him. So yeah, shout out Trey because I know he's a Syntax fan, but yeah, it works.
Man, that's great. I love that. I mean, so another thing too, I've started is like a bunch of like sub communities to kind of reach the people who I want to connect with. I felt a huge gap in the tech industry with dads. And so I started the Dads in Tech group. We're having our second meetup tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. And I have a Discord. We have like 80 dads in it. I don't care about
Nice.
numbers, man. I'm getting too old now. Like if I can get 5 dads in a Discord that are engaged, I could, that's what I really want. Like I'm at the point now where I don't care about followers and stuff. I just care about meaningful, deep connections. You have these relationships, and that's where I'm always saying, like you got to get involved into a Discord, right? Like get involved in a Discord, get involved in a side chain. Like those are the new meetups. Like, and then you start engaging with those people, and then you meet, and then you ask them. So like our dad's group, we have like 6 cities that are kind of mainly populated, like Raleigh, Nashville. I think there's a few people in Denver. This is a quote. The guy who shot my announcement video, which by the way, boys, I'm wearing y'all Syntax FM in my announcement video. I just want to give kind
Whoa.
of a
Yeah.
nod to you boys.
Which one? The
the
webmaster?
one you have. Yeah, the one you have. Yeah. So I'm rocking that in my announcement video on Monday. But basically, he said it best. So this guy is actually head of creative and content for like a believe it or not, like a sunscreen company. He's definitely in the D2C world. And he and I were having dinner, and we were talking about how to build community. And it was such a meaningful conversation because I was in tech. He's like in like fashion, like lifestyle type stuff. But you know what the same was? He said it, and I said, holy crap, this is it. He says, his name's Carl Maynard, by the way. I want to give him props here. He goes, my goal is to give people a starting line and let them start. I was like, man, it's like, that's so good. And I think I think when it comes to community, and this is kind of what I believe in, is like giving people a starting, like giving people the opportunity to be in community. And so I guess my encouragement to folks watching this, like, how does this apply to my job search? If you know folks like Wes, like Scott, like myself, I mean, there's so many other amazing community builders out there on tech Twitter, just ask which community they're involved in, and just go get involved in that Discord or that. I mean, with Virtual Coffee, shout out them. They do an amazing job, right? They're a totally virtual remote community with Slack, right? Which is, again, you don't see that often. So
Yeah.
get involved. It's great.
Yeah, it's good. I'll tell people, if you're not in some sort of back group chatter, most of the stuff happens on Twitter, but the amount of private Slack channels, Telegram groups, Discords, whatever, there is tons out there, and that's where the real chats happen as well. And like, it's not like you have to be involved all the time, but it's nice, just a couple messages a day fly through, and you can pop in and, hey, has anyone done X, Y, or Z? Oh yeah, I've done that. Let me help you out here. It's
Visible.
good to get into those.
Yeah, and then literally that's one of the job descriptions for some people on my team I'm building. And obviously this will come out later, but like Jason Torres, I hired Jason Torres to come work for me, and who puts on Tech Commute. And like and I have another guy who's in Portugal. Half of their job description is just to get involved in the chit chatter. That's it.
Yeah.
Because that's where community is built.
What about all this like return to office, remote work? What are your thoughts on where all that's at right now?
We're in an interesting time right now, right? So Amazon basically mandating it. It was so funny. I know, so that one of the guys that joined Torque, he was being courted by Amazon. He's an AWS hero, and he basically was like, they kind of let me know what was going on. And then I was hanging out with a buddy of mine who's a product manager, but he's more on the supply chain product. So he like manages all the workstations for Dell in like one area of the business. And he told me last night that Dell is like basically wanting people to start coming in, like in Nashville. So then we were talking about that, and I've had a bunch of people DM me. They're like, where are we heading with this? Listen, at the end of the day, folks, the companies have the leverage right now. Yeah. And I know you don't like it because you know what? We had the leverage for the last like 10 years or at least 5, right? Yeah. And so like this happens. It'll pendulum back, but right now you don't have the leverage. You just don't. Now, you have the leverage if you're single and don't have kids, you can go move, right? I would highly consider that right now if I were you. But for me, listen, there are companies that are still going to be remote first. It's not going to, like, the entire remote industry isn't just going to go away, but again, we're just level setting. We went basically we binged on bonbons and like chocolate milk for like the last like 3 years. And basically the market's getting us back in shape again. Like we're having to do some we're having to do some burpees, folks. We're having to do some sprints, and those suck. Those are awful. You asked me to do a burpee right now? Not at all. And so, but because it's painful, and what we're going through is painful because it's a realignment of the market. And so again, I think my biggest suggestion for folks is be flexible, be kind, be gracious in the job search, and it's going to work out.
On that same note, I wanted to ask if you have any hilarious stories of the typical San Francisco tech bro who's maybe asked for too much in negotiations. Do you have any stories there?
No specific stories, but I do have to say, be careful, right? Read the room, because what's happening is we as human beings like to hold on to the things that fit our narrative, right? And that could apply to every area of life. And basically, so what I mean by that is when I was like a hands-on recruiter, I would say, hey, Scott, the range is 75 to 100K. Well, guess what part of the range Scott held on to? The 100K part, right? Yeah. And so then you're like, well, Taylor, and then I offered you the spot at like 85, and you're like, well, Taylor, that's $25,000 under what you said. I said, no, that potentially is like $15,000 above what I said too, but you were only listening to one side. And so I think right now people are like, should I still counter? Should I drive a hard bargain? I'm like, no, not at all. You should just be grateful you got a job.
Yeah, that sadly, it seems like where we're at, right? Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. Now, here's the deal, folks. If you feel like you're getting way underpaid or taken advantage of, I'm not saying don't speak up. There are employers out there that I specifically have heard about that take advantage and lowballs. Stick up for yourself. But like if you got your salary that you wanted, that you asked for, why are you countering? So again, read the room, be aware, and don't. There's no need to counter unless you have. Now, if you do have specifics, so let's say you had like stocks at a previous company that like the company really wanted you to start October 1st, but you had to stay at the other company through October 30th to get the stock buyback or whatever. And you're like, well, I'm missing out on $45,000. Can we do a sign-on bonus of at least $30,000? I'm fine with that. That is a specific, you made me leave. If you wanted me here, we need to meet in the middle here, right? I'm fine with that. But usually those are not the cases. It's usually I just was told to negotiate, so I'm going to negotiate. Don't do that.
Awesome.
So for developers out there who are looking to stand out, we've already said, follow up, take care of the little details, finesse, those types of things, right? But what do you think is the most important thing right now to be assured that you're a fit technically? I know in the past you had, here's an exam, like here's a take-home exam, whatever, here's a code example. Do you think like it's like breadth of projects, they have a GitHub, they're active, or do you think it's like real-world projects or who you worked for in the past?
Real-world projects. Like literally, you have to do the job before you get the job right now.
Yeah.
The amount of DMs I get, especially when I came on y'all's podcast the first time, I was like, damn. So shout out to y'all for having a following. I was like, wow, this is kind of crazy. So shout out to you guys for building such an amazing community. And of course I had people that argue with me. I'm like, listen, like I'm not, I'm just trying to help, right? Like it is what it is. And so for me, it's like, I feel like in this market right now is you have to prove you can do the job before you get the job. And that's either if you're junior trying to just get a job, you have to show code, like you have to like build, like I had a junior developer slide into my inbox and he's helping me build like a small project for me. I have like a kind of like this, like connect with Taylor's community type situation. Because I have so many people coming at me, I just can't keep up with everybody. You know, if I tell you I'll keep you in mind, I'm not going to keep you in mind. I'm sorry. I just don't know what else to say. I just don't know what else to say. And so like for me, like I'm trying to fix that specific problem, but like he reached out, right? He reached out. He wants to help me. And that experience, and he's like, do you care what tech I use? I said, not at all. And so he's like, good, because I want to deal with some different frameworks and some different, you know, serverless, blah, 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 blah stuff. I said, great, do it. Right? It's the same thing here. Like if you're a senior or mid-level engineer and want to jump to staff or senior, like figure out what those guys and gals are doing and start doing it now.
Yeah.
As best you can. I understand that. But like, I think gone are the days of just like, Scott, you're a really good mid. We're going to promote you to senior. Now that is still going to happen, but like it's, man, Scott, you really branched out here and implemented this thing that resulted to this, that wasn't even asked about you. And so this what really made, you know, those are the conversations that are happening right now.
So do you think developers should understand like stakeholders and business goals?
I think that's the unlock. I think that's the unlock. Like knowing business has gotten me much further than anything else. And I am not technical at all, right? Now, again, I'm kind of in a different side of things, but like I've never coded. I would say I'm in DevRel. Why? Because I hear and I observe all the problems that all these tech companies have and I implement it.
Yeah, you understand.
Right, you understand. Like I understand whether I know how to actually do it. I understand it, and so I think that's the unlock for I think that was great. As shareholder, like understand what the business needs and start thinking business minded instead of just, hey, here's your ticket.
Yeah. How do you make money, and how can I help with that with my skill set?
Exactly.
One actually question I have: we had somebody come on the podcast or submit a potluck question the other day. He said, I'm 50, I've worked at the same job for 25 years, and I don't have anything to show for my skill set. I have the skill set, but I don't have anything to prove that. What do you say to those people? Do they need a website? Do you need a portfolio? Or what do you do when everything you've done is locked away behind some company?
You think it's probably, I would ask, like, is it an NDA or like what do you mean you have nothing to show for? Like, can you not write a resume?
He probably can write a resume, but like there's no like.
I mean, I think writing a resume and that if you've been at the same company, like, and this is hard. If you've been at the same company, it is hard to like write a resume. And to me, that's one of the things for some reason I'm really good at is like, if you've been at the same company for a long time, like I'm really good at helping people write resumes from that perspective. But like it's showing how you move the needle over 25 years. Like that's what needs to be the focus, right? Is like, okay, when I started 25 years ago, we had these systems and now I've implemented these systems, right? And like walking me through that listen, everything is storytelling, everything. So I'm watching the Monsters thing on Netflix, the Melendez brothers. I think it was them, right?
Oh, us too. Yeah, we're right in the middle of it.
Absolutely,
so good.
We'll be watching
nuts.
that. Yeah,
crazy.
Oh, man.
I'm obsessed.
Sick pick.
And they're literally coming out with another documentary. Or they're coming out with a documentary. This is more of a show, like dramatization. They're coming out with another documentary because I can't get enough of it. I'm like on TikToks and everything. But so guess what those lawyers had to do that defended the Melendez brothers? They had to develop a story to convince the jury the reason why they killed their parents. It's all storytelling. Your interview process is, I did this. When I came in, I was hired to do this. Here are all the steps I did. Because you have to convince the hiring manager to hire you. If you've been at the same company for 25 years, you need to convince me how you can get that job by applying specific facts over the last 25 years of what you've been able to do. And I think like the art of storytelling and writing is something that we're not talking about enough because we're too busy with the bits and bytes, which I understand. But man, if you know how to storytell and make things engaging, that is where you're going to really excel in your career.
I'll add to that is keep a log of your wins as well. Often you can look back, oh, what did I do this year? I'm not really sure. But then you start thinking about it. Oh, I did do quite a bit this year, you know? And that times 5 or 6 years or 20 years at a job, it's easy to forget like what you've actually done and the impact you've had. So every time you have a win, write it down.
Yeah. So I rewrote my resume because I applied to believe it or not, I didn't apply. Let me rephrase that, because people will come at me like, Taylor, you applied, you tell me not to apply. I did not apply anywhere, but I had to write a few versions of my resumes. It took me a while to write my resume because I did not do that. I guess what I'm saying is I didn't do that and I should have done it. I interviewed one guy on my podcast. He was like, there was a guy or girl and I can't remember who. And basically it was so good. They were like 30 minutes once a week and 1 hour a month. Set aside a time block specifically for those. So 30 minutes, 30 minutes a week. It was even less. It was maybe 15 minutes for like wins. And then at the end of the month, set aside like 30 minutes to an hour and re-go over that list. They were like, you're going to be very happy where you're at after a year when you have to go on the job search. And it helps with raises. It helps with negotiations, title changes, progressing. That was the word, progressing through the company. Because a lot of times, and I tell people this as a manager, as a manager now of a lot of people, and then formerly a manager of a lot of people, that like I can't keep up with everything. So I'm trying to like survive on my own. So like when we have our review, I need you to come to me and be like, yo, bro, here are the like 16 things I did. And I'd be like, whoa, did not know that. Right.
Yeah.
And so like you're really hurting yourself if you're not spending 15, 30 minutes a week just writing down some wins in an hour or a month. Oh, and then also one more thing. So when I wrote my resume for the job search, my resume is getting a little long, boys. I'm getting old, right? I'm in my mid 30s now. Resume is getting a little long now. It's like 4 pages. And like, so basically what I did is I read every single bullet point and I was like, would this make somebody call me?
Yeah.
Would this bullet point make somebody call me? And a lot of them didn't. So I had to take them out. And so like, that's the question I would ask you. If you are writing your resume or your LinkedIn right now, or your cover letter, every bullet point you write, ask yourself, would this make a hiring manager call me? Would this make a staff engineer call me? Would this make an engineering leader call me? If the answer is no, take it out or rewrite it.
Man,
Beautiful.
that's all great advice. And that's, I think,
Yeah.
a great place to even cap this one, because I think that's just such key advice. You just dropped so many nuggets in this episode, whether that is the storytelling bit, the marketing yourself, or any of that stuff. It's been really great to hear your perspective. Now let's get into the part of the show that we call Sick Picks and Shameless Plugs, where you just tell us about something that you're liking right now, and then get to plug something.
Cool. Yeah, I got to plug Torque. I mean, I'm pretty pumped, right? I mean, everybody says that.
Yeah.
Like, well, you were pumped about your last company. Yeah, but I'm still pumped about this. I can be pumped about all of them, right?
Yeah.
And so torque.dev. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. The sign up is pretty not great. We're working on it, okay? We're working on it. We're hiring a team. We're hiring a design agency. We're going to redo it. Torque.dev. Basically, our entire job is to just get you on the platform. We're going to set up a bunch of things where like we're going to engage with you through our Discords, through like meaningful emails. We're going to give you a lot of job search content. I'm responsible for kind of building this whole thing out. And then Brianna Holmes is helping me as well, who's the marketing lead for Render ATL. And so we're kind of going to chop away at this together. If you are on the job search, would love to have you a part of it. So torque.dev, go sign up. And then also too, Guidance Counselor 2.0, I'm going to spin it back up in November. Took some time off just because I wanted to obviously see where everything landed with the job. And then I'm on all socials at Tdesseyn, Tdesseyn. So yeah, that's me.
How do you spell Torque? Is it Torque?
Torc. Torc.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Torc. Torque.dev. We're actually doing a huge like all hands on deck in Boston next week. So maybe I should do a little Boston meetup. I don't know people in Boston.
Yeah, it's been a minute for me.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, cool. I think what we're going to build is good. To put it in perspective, we're kind of the top feeder for like a $30 billion staffing organization. So like our goal is just to like get as many people in the hopper and then ultimately distribute people out to jobs. Along the entire your job search journey, what my role is basically to give you meaningful content from myself, from Jason Torres doing the tech commute, from Brianna pulling in stuff from her network, and so we're gonna do a lot of collabs and basically try to give people like this huge library to go through their job search, not by themselves.
Cool. And sick pick.
I mean, you got to go Monsters. I mean, it's just so good. It just is too good. It's too good. Also, I got this mic. I feel like it doesn't sound bad. It's like $35.
Sounds good.
Like,
That's
yeah,
35
so
bucks.
like, yeah, this is $35. I wanted something. So like, I've had that big boom stand, and also my job got me the WeWork space. So like I'm mobile, right? So I wanted something that's like tiny, right?
Yeah.
And like that can just kind of bring on the go, especially traveling. This new role has me on the road pretty much all of October with conferences. And so I'm still going to want a podcast. And so, being able to do this on the road, I wanted something small and compact. So this is the, what is this called? Heyday.
Oh yeah.
Heyday. So you can buy it at Target. It's $35. If you like the sound, I think it sounds great for just like a little room mic. So yeah.
I think about $35 microphones that I've heard, and yeah, it sounds good on our end. Yeah, it's obviously not like a.
I mean the room's
studio mic,
echoey
but
for
it's
sure,
fantastic.
but like I mean for $35 and being able to take it on the road and being able to do podcasts with good sounding audio is hard to do.
Yeah. Sick.
The cheap mics have gotten really good, and like
Seriously.
Producer Randy, he has a whole YouTube channel on just mic reviews.
Oh, does he really?
He's always getting some random mic that is like fairly inexpensive. He has some really expensive ones too.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It's like, I'm sure he would tell you, man, you don't need a lot.
You really don't.
To do it.
I mean, I had like the 34-inch Dell Ultra Curve monitor, like the boom stand. And I was like telling my wife, I was like, I just want to consolidate. I want to get a 24-inch monitor and like small mic and just like have it like very compact on my
You're
desk.
maturing. Yeah.
I'm maturing.
I haven't reached that yet, but
Yeah,
I've heard
I get it.
That's maturing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Randy's YouTube channel. We'll post a link. It's Randy Rector on YouTube. Yeah, he does great microphone reviews and sound stuff.
The one thing I don't like about cheap microphones is a lot of them have RGB in them, and it makes continuity really hard because if you clip someone's video really quickly, you notice the jump a lot more because the RGB
really?
is,
I didn't know. I don't know what that is. Hopefully that's not the case here.
No, it's like
you
the
don't- you
lights,
don't have-
like the.
It's
yeah.
like a gamer light that's on it.
Oh,
This one
gotcha.
is like
Okay,
kind of a
okay.
cream color. It's nice looking.
Yeah.
They want it
it's
for
like-
Twitch streamers.
Target, man, Target's
Target.
the best.
I love
We don't have
Target.
Target in Canada.
I was just at
We
Target
cross
this
the
morning.
border and go get it.
I love
Yeah,
it.
Wes, they built one walkable for my house. I can walk to Target now. So
Must be nice.
Target's
Wow.
great.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate all
Absolutely,
your
man.
time and
Thanks, boys.
insights. This is really fun.